So my experiments with the microfreak Stellar Edition are continuing, and tonight we're looking at the control voltage, and we're going to use the NTS2 to give us a helping hand. This is actually going into the NTS2 and then out into my little modular setup here. That is set up as a standard sort of subtractive synthesizer. So my basic oscillator, so the volts per octave output of the freak is controlling the Doper basic oscillator. The output of that goes to my filter, and then the filter goes into the voltage controlled amplifier. The gate output of the freak goes into my envelope generator, and then the output of the envelope generator goes into the VCA. Happy days. The NTS2, as I say, is helping us, so that should be showing us our gate. There we go. And lovely, and the good old Dope for basic oscillator sounding lovely as ever. NTS2 helping us see those sort of gate signals, so we should be able to have a nice slow attack and a slow release. Oh yeah, lovely. Oh yeah, lovely. And we should be able to have almost a percussive sound if we take the envelope settings all quite low. Lovely stuff. So the microfreak working there perfectly as a useful little MIDI controller, or controller I should say, CV controller for a modular synth. Happy days. Now, where the freak is really interesting is there's a separate output for pressure. So the first time I saw this, it didn't sort of I didn't sort of understand it. But then, like, there's a whole separate output for the amount of pressure you're putting on the capacitive keyboard, which we can do something with. Okay, that took about 5 minutes just to set up the NTS2. So the pressure goes into the NTS2, so we should be able to see the pressure on its own lane on the NTS2 here. Okay, so yeah, we only start to see it when you start making sort of changes. So the output of the pressure from the NTS2 is going into my filter, the filter control voltage. So what that means is I can tap very lightly on the keyboard, just down here, or I can tap very hard, and we can sort of trigger the control voltage of the filter. Right, and we should be able to see that in the NTS. So light touch, it's only just sort of registering. If I really slam it, you can start to see, you know. So therefore, we've got a different amount of sort of voltage that I can control the filter. So that's quite cool. So sort of playing away. we get a nice bit of sort of variation in the sound due to sort of the amount of pressure that's coming through on my fingers, just as a natural course of my sort of performance. So I can choose, you know, hammer the keys, or just light touch. So that actually makes this a super interesting controller, right? Because we've got sort of, you know, we've got the pressure that will give me additional ability to control the sound. Now, if I go utility and then use the so the utility and then use the encoder here, I can go to CV gate, select that. Oh, I've gone to mic level. Hang on. No. Utility, mic settings. I didn't want mic settings. I want CV gate. Press in the preset button. Pitch format, gate format. So gate format, I've got S gate or V gate. I think S gate is for your old Moog synths. Otherwise, you want V gate. And I have pressure range, which is currently set to 6 volts. Sorry, it's currently set to 60, but I can set that to 70, 80, 90 or 100, or, well, yeah, from 10 to 100. I'm going to set it 100 because then I think the difference between my taps of the capacitance keyboard should, there we go, should make more of a difference. So yeah, there we go, pressure range 100. Yeah, and I can see from the NTS2 much, so I guess it's like the setting of 100 means, you know, the difference between light touch and me heavy touch is a bigger difference. But very cool that we can just adjust that, right? It's good because it's kind of like we've got almost like sort of, you know, another LFO or something. And, you know, I chose to put it into the control voltage of the filter because it's almost like the first thing I saw. But there's obviously pretty interesting things, you know, we could do with the modular synth using that pressure control. Possibly. Let's think of something. Okay, in this setting, we've got the pressure going into the frequency CV in of the LFO generator of the Behringer 150 sort of utility module, which is LFO, noise, ring mod, little utility. And then the LFO output is going back into my filter. So if we tap nice and lightly, and if we tap very hard, so that's pretty interesting. I also think pitch is throwing its weight around as well. Maybe not, maybe not, maybe it is just pressure. So light touch. Heavy hands. That's really cool. So again, if one were performing with that, just the natural sort of variation in your hands. And I think, yeah, if that was the setup you wanted to use for a track, I think that's where you'd set the amount of pressure, from say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, because maybe that's too extreme. Let's take that to pressure range to 50. Yeah, much more sort of less extreme. Oh, my thing's stopped. So I apologise. This is on my knees and you can't see it, but it's just easier to play like that. It's definitely pressure and not amount of skin. If you want to sort of repeat this setup, it's going to depend on what kind of modules you've got set up, or just and your imagination, I suppose. Let's call the video a day. I'm still obviously getting used to this microfreak Stellar Edition and everything it can do, but I was keen to get in, sort of look at the in-out possibilities really before exploring even just the synth engine in this. Now obviously, as well as like controlling our modular synth, we could take the audio output into the mixer of this and mix in one of the sounds of the microfreak as well, which could make interesting sort of performance possibilities. All right, anyway, that's the end of the video. Cheers folks. Bye 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 bye.